WWE Survivor Series has literally just finished for me. Hopefully I've got everything up and working. Let's triple check. It's currently 3:45 for me, and it's very cold. Hello, and fitting for what we've just seen with The Undertaker. Hello and welcome to LOP Radio Aftershock, live immediately following WWE Survivor Series, live from the Amway Theatre they're still in? AKA the Thunderdome. And Survivor Series has just finished about 15 minutes ago. Again, live in the UK. I'm not going to be as quick to get this live. Give me a minute to warm up or whatever. And also Survivor Series logo just a bit too big for my. I normally put it in the middle, in between. So I got me, then I got the match cards for whatever I'm talking about or whatever. But it's just a bit big. So I'm going to put it at the top, and I immediately don't like it. So, it means nothing to you, podcast listeners, because this will also be available in podcast form. Links in the description to head over to wrestlingheadlines.net for the latest wrestling headlines news. But The Undertaker has just given his final farewell. There were no shenanigans. It's one of those where I'm watching it and I kind of want it to be the final farewell, but I also know it's WWE, and I feel like I've seen about 5 Undertaker farewells. So I was kind of like, as I'm watching it, I'm suspecting, is the Fiend going to come out? And for me, the ultimate moment was the Paul Bearer AR thing. Like, for me, the only AR thing is the augmented reality. The only one of those that WWE have ever done that was any good. And it was fitting that it was for Paul Bearer doing his, oh yeah, and then coming on. It's just, it was used to perfection to hit that emotional beat. It's a really nice kind of tribute, and it really, really added to the whole kind of feeling of it. And the dead man is gone, assumably. It's one of those. I hope this was a fine farewell. It's one of those, because of course after WrestleMania where he faced Roman Reigns, there was a kind of such an emotion in the room where that would have been like such a fantastic way to say goodbye. But then we got it. We've had a bit of a longer spree. So for me, this was done well. It obviously absolutely sucks that The Undertaker said goodbye in front of no fans. It's obviously sucks, but maybe back in his head, knowing that we are watching, we just can't physically be there. And obviously it sucks, but they had to. They piped in Undertaker chants compared to the live audience actually being able for The Undertaker to actually feel that emotion. So, given the circumstances, obviously sucks. But has The Undertaker officially retired? I felt like it was fitting if he has. Like the main event of Survivor Series, 30 years after his debut, and the kind of presentation it was, with all of the names coming out first. Shane McMahon, Big Show, JBL, Jeff Hardy, for some reason, and Mick Foley, The Godfather, The Godwins. They're both bald now. Savio Vega even turned up. Rikishi, Kevin Nash, and his knees. Booker T, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Triple H, Kane, in full gear. Get in there, Glenn. Just they were all gone when The Undertaker actually came out afterwards, but I guess I wanted to show them paying their respects for the dead man. So it really built it up as like a. When I say feel, I don't know if feel good's the right way. For me, when I said feel good, for me it was like a nice kind of trip down memory lane, and it felt like a good tribute to Taker. And again, trip down memory lane is probably a better way to put it, because it's difficult to reenact the emotion that I feel like after the Roman Reigns match, as in the first time I felt like I was watching The Undertaker retire. And for me, that's the only reason I've not got that same feeling, because I've had that feeling before, and I can see other people will have that same feeling. But I guess for me, with my own Undertaker memories, didn't start properly watching wrestling till 2005, so I've not got anywhere near the same level of feeling. But I really got into The Undertaker when he was SmackDown champion in the noughties, when he was ruling that SmackDown brand, when he became the guy on SmackDown, especially I think after Batista left as well, where he really did become. But I guess during it as well, for me that's my peak Undertaker memories, when he was that veteran guy leading SmackDown essentially. And for me, I went back and watched the other stuff, because again, my wrestling fandom, the first thing I watched WrestleMania 17. So my first ever memory of The Undertaker is WrestleMania 17, watching him face Triple H as Biker Taker. So, and I heard he'd been this dead man gimmick, and they were calling him the dead man kind of thing. So, like, was called the Undertaker, but he's this cool Texas bloke on a bike. So that was my first impression of the Undertaker, because that's what he was when I was like finding out about wrestling. It would have been 9 when that show aired. So it was, yeah. So I've got very different memories of the Undertaker, like first impressions and things. And whenever I think of my favourite eras of the Undertaker, that is always my favourite. Just going back to that biker taker. That's my personal favourite Undertaker. Because again, maybe because that is the first one. Maybe it is the Limp Bizkit, the bike, the everything about it. It's so of its era, and that's the first time I ever saw him. So that's the thing I have such strong memory for. Like, again, when he comes back as the Undertaker in 2004, obviously I wasn't watching at the time, but when I do go back and watch it, I don't have that same feeling, because my first Undertaker is Biker Taker. Like when Biker Taker came back for WrestleMania, I was so into that. I was like, yes, Biker Taker finally back, because that meant so much more to me. Because again, I did grow up, and in terms of wrestling, I grew up watching, and when I was properly finally watching wrestling, I grew up watching Undertaker as the dead man on SmackDown ruling the Blue Brand. So yeah, I have very different kind of memories of it. Yes, and I have gone back and watched, and I can kind of see that the attachments I would have, because especially when you go back and watch the old, especially the Attitude Era, he's like the linchpin for that show. See, he is not the megastar. He is not always in like the main. He's not the main antagonist all the time, but he held that entire show together, and you really see the importance of him. I feel like in that era, just what a massive kind of component he was. So yeah, for me, it feels like I feel like it's good. He's fine. Like, he's kind of retired that he got this moment. Because he didn't want. There was that worrying feeling that it was never going to happen. And obviously, I don't know. In terms of like personal life, I don't know him. Just in terms of watching the show as a fan, there were constant jokes about the Undertaker never retiring, kind of thing. So the fact that the Fiend doesn't appear, they don't set up an angle for WrestleMania, the Undertaker legitimately retires, gets his thing. As a fan, that's why it kind of is a feel-good moment, even though it's blatantly not a feel-good moment. Somebody's retiring, a veteran's retiring, a legend of the sport. So yeah. Yes, it's a feel good thing to kind of dip back into your own memories of him, and a genuine farewell. So the actual thing played out with a big old video package going over his career and how great he is with talking heads and the like. Two electric sound things. I can't remember what they're. Tesla coils. That's it. Tesla coils that were called. I can't really run wild on people on Twitter not knowing that they were Tesla coils generally doing the tune when I can't remember that they're called Tesla coils. So yeah, but yeah. So anyway, they played Taker's theme before smoke filled the arena, and for the next 5 to 10 minutes of our life, it was one final Undertaker entrance, really soaking it in, before one final Undertaker promo. And personally, like, they piped in the Undertaker chants, which for me that took away from it, but also I felt like the silence might have been deafening if they didn't play anything in terms of watching it back. Because when Undertaker's there, he's by himself, so it hit so much more differently to him than it would to us. Because to him, it looks like he's soaking in the applause of the fans. To him, there was nothing. It would have been silence. That's kind of like a crazy disconnect to kind of think about for me. Like especially like this is probably the biggest match that I've thought about it in. I say match, a segment on a WWE product since the Thunderdome. Like, it's the first one where it's like, yeah, it would have been silence for him. That's kind of crazy for me to feel. Which makes it more fitting that these music played back up. And they did the augmented reality hologram of Paul Bearer doing the "Oh Yeah," which was again so fitting, so good, so well done. It feels good to applause the augmented reality, and it was done in such a tasteful way as well. There's a 10 gong salute for the dead man before he made his way up the ramp for one last iconic pose, and Survivor Series logo came up, and off he went, like a genuine goodbye, which kind of caught me by surprise a bit. I was fully expecting an angle to be set up, but no, it was was a match. It was not a match, sorry. It was an actual goodbye, and I feel like for me as a fan, it sounded like exactly what I kind of needed. Always what I wanted from this segment. I didn't want an interference. Didn't want something to be set up. I did want to kind of celebrate the Undertaker, and they actually gave it me when I wasn't expecting it. I was just expecting it to be another match set up for WrestleMania or something, like a match against the Fiend. The amount of comments and tweets about Feature's going to come out, isn't he? But as soon as Paul Bearer came up, I was like, it would feel a bit distasteful to do it now. Like you've hit all the right notes for this just to be a genuine farewell, like a genuine goodbye. So in the end, I was happy they didn't. And that's why I feel weird sitting here just trying to explain how I feel relatively positive after a legend farewell, which is odd. It's not really the emotions I should be feeling, but no, I feel happy for him. I don't know. It's weird. It's a really weird feeling, which I'm way too tired to diagnose because it's 4 a.m. Yeah. Anyway, yes, The Undertaker has given his final farewell at Survivor Series, marking 30 years after his initial debut, which is crazy as well. I think it's been that long. Yeah. Anyway, there was a pay-per-view before it, so I feel like 10 minutes is enough for talking about The Undertaker. But yes, it's one to kind of reminisce and such. But the pay-per-view beforehand was also something that took place. So I'm going to go through the card. I'll do it in reverse order. Let's start with the main event, because for me this pay-per-view was a little bit I don't know, so up and down. I think I would say I enjoyed matches in parts. I thought both Survivor Series matches were a bit naff this year, but they succeeded in parts, but the matches themselves I would still go as both of them were a bit naff this year. But the main event, I really enjoyed Roman Reigns and McIntyre, and I really enjoyed New Day. I enjoyed Asuka Sasha Banks as much as I could, given I've seen it 10, 20 times already this year. But they did another really, really good match. And I enjoyed 3 of the matches, but because both Survivor Series were just a bit... and Lashley Zane was just antics in a way. It was 3 matches I really enjoyed, 3 matches I just didn't. So it's like a 50-50, and then you got your emotional farewell with The Undertaker. And for me, it's weird, because after the Roman Reigns Drew McIntyre thing, I was like, I kind of would have liked this to main event. But then after the Undertaker farewell, it's like, well, nothing else should have, really. In reality, it was a perfect final note to end the show. Anyway, let's move on to Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. Don't know why I'm saying it in that voice. But that match, main event of the show, and it was a genuinely big feeling match. The WWE Champion versus the Universal Champion. If anything, a big match. It was a match that was so big, the only mistake here may have been not holding this off like a massive WrestleMania bout, like first time massive deal. Like seriously, these two characters colliding feels that big. Like they've been built so incredibly well and strong, and being on this of all shows, like a pretty meaningless feeling show for me with this massive match towards the end of it. Like not even the final note It wasn't even the final note, because of course we had the Undertaker's farewell, which was the final beat. Again, if you got both of those on the card and you're organising the card, for me that was the right decision. Because the fact they were both on the same card in the first place, which is like, it's interesting that you've not held this off. Big muscly beard boys throwing fists, a slow start but with an intensity to it. So even though it was slow, for me I was like, I can see this is building to something and it's going to kick into gear. Roman was controlling a lot, but Drew with the mighty big strong comebacks, kicking it into gear. Big meaty meat clobbering each other. In the end, flat out exchanging signature blows, countering claymores with Superman punches, an awesome spear reversal into I've described it as like a Kimura lock type thing, just because I don't know what the hold is, but it was into an awesome wrenching arm thing, which looked awesome as hell as Drew wrenched back on the wrist. Drew chucked Reigns overhead multiple times as well, thrown about more than anyone else has since returning as a Tribal Chief. Drew McIntyre was put over really strongly here, and I'm all for it. Both lads came out looking strong as hell. The Samoan fighting back at ringside countered a charging Scott into a Samoan drop onto the announce desk, which didn't break. Oof, all the tablets and things still on there for the announcers. It's like, that wouldn't have been comfortable. The second time was enough, though. Into Finisher City for the climax. Spear through the barricade with a kick out. Spear in the ring. Kick out again as the commentators go ballistic. Both lads, again, coming out of this bit, just looking strong as hell as they keep going through whatever the other person's throwing at them. Calling for a third spear when Drew flew in with the Claymore. But Roman crashed into the ref. Jey Uso with the run-in. Low blow to Drew from Reigns, capitalising on that chaos as Drew was fighting off Jey Uso. And into that guillotine lock to drain the life out of McIntyre, who seemed to show a bit of a fight back, but by the time... But he never got out of the hold. So even though he looked like he could fight back, by the time he was just drained again, the referee was back in the ring and was like, oh, this is it. He's gone this time. Really good stuff yet again. I feel like I say yet again, it's Roman Reigns' thing for me, where I feel like they've been absolutely solid. And again, it's one of those. I described it on Twitter as this is 100% a WWE main event match, where it's the king of sports entertainment. Where you just got the announce tables, barricades, finisher, crazy endings, and all. As in, yeah, this is. It just was. It was a feeling coming out of it. Was a feeling of the similar feeling to the Edge Randy Orton match. I can't remember what the tagline was. Greatest match of all time. Was it greatest match ever? This is because they had the Greatest Showman. But where just through all of the WWE, what they consider like the greatest tropes of a wrestling match, and putting every single one of them into a match. And I was watching this one again. I was just ticking off just the stuff I was saying. Is that, but I enjoy that stuff. I can totally see if you're especially if you're more into like a different style. If you're a bit down the WWE main event style, this was a WWE main event match. And it had all the stylings and all the tropes of a WWE main event match. I personally loved it. And again, it had a slow start, but for me that built something. I don't need my thing to always be going at an incredible rate of knots if it's clearly building to something, which is mainly my biggest issue with WWE. My biggest thing is when I'm watching filler, is that it's not building to anything. It's not going anywhere. I can't stand filler, especially since I'm doing the reviews for like RAW and SmackDown, and sometimes they contain filler, and it's just a little bit irritating. But yeah, I really like this match. I thought the main event was great. And most importantly, both guys came out strong. They elevated Drew to like a main event guy. Roman Reigns was kind of crowned as the guy in WWE. But Drew McIntyre was crowned as a close second, and the only reason Roman Reigns won was because Jey Uso interference and a low blow, and then he gets in the guillotine lock. Like, it wasn't him just fighting back and hitting a spear type of thing. He generally had to cheat to beat him, and I like that. And of course, during that thing, you're telling the story of Jey Uso and Roman Reigns with the whole family. You're establishing that again. It's just. One of my favourite stories in wrestling right now is the way where that's building. It's something where I hope that it's definitely going somewhere. Like, it's building to something. It's establishing something. Because I'm all for it right now. Like, the Roman Reigns as the tribal chief, really, really rate that character. So yeah. Also a bit of, I guess, a positive. Yes, the show ended up being like about 3.5 hours long. But you got the Undertaker farewell. Like, the main card is about 3 hours, and I'm still in the zone where I just expect like SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and the Rumble. I just go in expecting them to be 4 hours. But this show only had 6 matches on the card, which is just allow things to flesh out. I can actually grow them. Which it's a shame when you get to the Survivor Series matches, because they like a shorter card. You kind of have the ability to stretch things out. So I go from a major positive, how much that I just simply enjoyed Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, and then I end up with the Survivor Series traditional 5-on-5 Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. And yeah, I did not enjoy this match anywhere near the same level that I enjoyed the Drew McIntyre Randy Orton match. I've started on a peak. I've started on trying to explain my happy feeling with the Undertaker retirement, which again, I don't, yeah. For like full paragraphs, I'll maybe figure out how I'm feeling, but I don't know if I'll figure it out. And then there's the Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton. As he faces her so many times, I just assume he's faced Randy Orton. Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, which I thought was a fantastic main event of two big lads clobbering each other, and then the ultimate one who would win at all costs is perfectly happy to cheat to win. Yeah, it's a positive. So let's go to a bit of a down. The women's traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Team Raw: Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce, and Lana. Lots of recaps beforehand of Lana going through the announce desks. Was it a foreshadowing or a MacGuffin? Both, it turns out. Team SmackDown: Bayley, Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Natalya. The story of one team completely together, with Bayley as a genuine captain, getting all the gang and they're all working. They're tagging in. There's actual teamwork. The other team over on the red side divided under the refusal of cohesion by the women's tag team champions. Just complete refusal to work with anybody. That no, we're the best. You follow our thing, our leadership. Completely different vibes on them, and I really like that. And Belair got a great showcase in this match. I'm not talking about just at the end, but at the start of the match as well. I feel like that's something that will just get overlooked and forgotten, but she got a really nice flurry. I guess at the start of when it was just her, and at the start of the match when everybody was in. So a great little showcase for her. Really, there was just something about the way that they booked the SmackDown women's team when all five of them were there. For me, they were the only team of the night that generally felt like a team. Because again, the SmackDown one had the Seth Rollins sacrifice, I guess. Team Raw was all about how they don't really get along. Then Team Raw for the women's is the same thing, that they don't get along. So there's only one team that were tagging together, working as a team and felt like a team. I guess it was more of, even though their egos were clashing, in the end it did work out for the men's side. But we'll get to theirs eventually. Peyton Royce took a lot of offense in the early going, and the blue side put over really strong until your normal Survivor Series chaos kicks in. And you got Peyton Royce and Bayley as the two legal competitors. Bayley ended up getting suplexed out to the outside off the top and didn't get caught by anybody. Somehow, every competitor was out there apart from Lana. A key point about Lana in a second. But, yes, Peyton Royce suplexed Bayley onto the crowd, and somehow the crowd just parted. There's the red side and there's the blue side, and somehow they suplexed Bayley backwards into the pile, and Bayley just landed on her arse. Just how did that even happen? And then you watch the replay, they somehow just parted. I don't understand how that happened, but that must have been painful. And that led into a surprise elimination, as Peyton Royce pinned Bayley back into the ring. So, okay then. But it was weird. I felt like that should have really been put over as a massive deal, as in Bayley has ran SmackDown for the past year, and to not put that elimination over as the star of this match has just been eliminated. Personally, that's a really weird decision to make, to do that. But I guess it's because the ending. You can't do that ending with Bayley that they did. Or you have to get her eliminated later in the kind of kerfuffle. But here with a genuine surprise. But it was paired with another Survivor Series booking trope that I'm not a fan of. You see it in Battle Royals quite often as well. It's the don't get momentum in a Survivor Series match rule. As in, you do a thing, you get a big amount of momentum, you get eliminated. The person that got the momentum off of you, they do some stuff, then they get eliminated. Then the person after that, and it's like, how am I? You're not building any momentum for anybody because as soon as they do something, it's like, right, you've got your crap in now. Now you can get eliminated. Now it's time for the other person to get the stuff in. I'm just like, I'm not getting invested. The people you can't get invested in any of the characters whilst they're doing that. But they were telling the overarching story of the breaking relationship, obviously between Nia Jax and Lana. Lana ordered to just stand on the steel steps for the entire match, not do anything, not get in. If she stood there the entire match, obviously just not happy. She wasn't there for when Bayley was suplexed onto everybody because Lana was just on the steel steps for the entire match. And I felt like, right, is Lana going to get frustrated and tag herself in, and that's when we get Nia Jax and Lana, and Nia Jax puts her through the announce table or something like that. No, she never tagged in. She just stayed there. And when we get to the ending, that's kind of why I feel like it's a little bit weird. But yeah, so don't get momentum as Survivor Series match, Peyton. A sharpshooter from Natalya locked in to eliminate the one with the sudden momentum following eliminating the biggest star in the match. Don't get momentum in a Survivor Series match, Natty. Sharpshooting a non-legal competitor for some reason. Lacey Evans with a women's right to the Canadian. And a big old Spanish fly from Evans. Have you got Evans versus Belair? I personally like this little matchup here. Off of the top rope, which was great. Taking both women out and giving us a short run of Baszler and Jax versus the Riot Squad. We got to see their chemistry on display once again. The bigger competitors against the smaller competitors. Shayna, one little thing. The Riot Squad hit their... I've called it their finisher, but it's more... felt like two signature moves. Because there's something about the Riot Kick which feels more like a signature move than an actual finisher. Like it's a weak finisher. I don't mean that in a it's bad. I mean that because it's still flashy as hell, pretty cool. But it's being sold like it's weak. Case in point, they hit Liv Morgan hit her kicky knee thing, and that it went into Ruby Riot's Riot Kick, and then Nia Jax kind of just fell and tagged. It's like, I mean, I'm not gonna buy the Riot Kick as that deadly a finisher or move when Nia Jax kind of stumbles into a tag after getting hit by it. It's not. It doesn't quite hit the same. But yeah, so that happened. But we got an awesome little run of Shayna Baszler dominance, locking in the cow through the clutch on Ruby Riot, and Ruby flipped over backwards to lock in a pin instead. But the referee was distracted, and by the time he got over, Ruby Riot only got a 2 count, and by that time she was out cold because she flips over that entire time. Yes, Shayna Baszler's shoulders are down. But Ruby Riot's pinning her the entire time. Flips over for the pin. She's in the hold the entire time. I accidentally emphasised the start of the sentence. It's a good one. No. Flipped over. Yes, she had the shoulders down. But she was also being choked out still by the hold. And when Shayna Baszler kicked out, Ruby Riot was out. And it's like, personally, I feel like I enjoyed that. I feel like it's the type of thing, because I've been doing a lot of streaming on Twitch recently. I feel like it's the type of thing where if I was trying to concentrate on 2 or 3 things at once, it might have felt a bit convoluted. Because I'm writing notes whilst doing this, so I get that feeling sometimes as well. But it was, for me, I like that. It was like, yeah, it's one of those, yeah, of course, kind of moments. And then she got pinned because she was choked out, and she lost because Nia Jax is actually the referee. So you got good teamwork between Jax and Baszler as well. So. Yeah, that was all right. Liv Morgan then ran wild because, of course, Bianca Belair was still recovering from the Spanish fly. And Morgan went wild with a damn impressive spree, kicking both Jax and Evans down and surprisingly swinging up and round into a crucifix pin for an elimination to Lacey. Yeah, Liv Morgan looked really impressive in this bit, in this short burst that she got. She looked great. But you ain't escaping Jax and Baszler. Belair also unable to make the save as Morgan is eventually just pinned. Yet again, Smackers ending up for the second Survivor Series match of this card. Damn it, D'Lo. Ending up with the one on their lonesome. On this occasion, it was Bianca Belair, the one running wild, trying to survive, right until a beautiful handspring caught into the cow through the clutch. Bianca refused to die, then did die, but onto the ropes. You gotta let go, Shayna. Shayna is in an irate state and doesn't let go, locks the hold back in and gets DQ'd, making her even more irate, shouting at the referee. And eventually, and I feel like that's a bit of time for Bianca to recover, because Jax then goes, right, I'm just going to put her through the announce table. But that's enough time for Bianca Belair to wake back up and push her into the steel steps instead. The two kind of brawl over ringside, and right to the finish we go. Belair lifts Jax over the barricade in an impressive feat of strength, but was unable to beat the 10 count and get back into the ring in time. So gets eliminated, and your final survivor is Lana. Stood on the steel steps the entire time, then just won after a double count out. Yay. I mean, they didn't have Bianca get pinned or submit. They made her look strong. She only just didn't make it back. So that's a plus. But like, seriously, this was one of the shitter ways to book the Lana wins without looking that strong thing. Like for her to actually, because again, the jarring bit for me is afterwards Lana shouting at Nia because Lana is responsible for Raw winning, but she didn't do anything. So as a hero babyface for us to get behind, Lana didn't do anything heroic. She stayed back, like the big buddy was saying, and because of that, won. Yeah, she didn't. In terms of like a television, in terms of telling a story, in terms of the way Lana celebrated afterwards, like she had proven a point or something. But Lana didn't do anything. She didn't. That's the kind of contradicting thing of they had her being like, "Look, I told you, I showed you. Look, I am of worth." Type of thing. The reason Raw won is because of me. But she, in action in the match, she literally stood in the background and did nothing. So it doesn't quite gel. She didn't prove anything. So as a babyface, you can't get behind her as a character to cheer kind of in that way. Because she didn't. Every other way I saw proposed was she scored a pin somehow. She may have been knocked out. She may be loopy. She may just happen to score a surprise pin. But she was still acting and doing something. She was causing the action. But no, it caused no action. She was just a prop, just there, and then it was called. For me, that's kind of why it falls flat. You can't then have her shouting at Nia Jax about, "Look, Raw now won because of me," when she caused no action. She wasn't a character involved in what was happening. She was just a bystander, and then started celebrating afterwards. Yeah, I thought that was an awful finish. And to be fair, the finish could have, because it felt, again, it was a match that felt like it was building to something, and you're like, "Wait, it's Bianca Belair at the end." Maybe Bianca Belair does beat Nia Jax, and then finally Lana's got to come in. But she can't beat Nia Jax. Or can't beat Bianca Belair. Or the other proposal was Lana does score a pin, but then she got to face Bianca Belair, so she just can't overcome someone of that amount of talent. That's personally what I would have gone with, but no. The Lana, yeah, there were better ways to do it. Lana can score a surprise pin, even on Bayley. Again, you could have Bayley go all the way to the end, and then you have a Lana surprise pin. But again, you can't do this specific ending with Bayley because you're going to get the exact same reaction. It's no better. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. A match that could have been building somewhere, but the ending was absolutely awful. It just completely destroyed the match for me. It's just a really bad ending. So yeah. Anyway, let's get to a good match. Not the 24/7 Championship. Literally, in all capitals, I've just written, "Do I cover the 24/7 Championship?" 3 question marks. It's just like, gobbledygook crumbs our truth. He's champion again. Akira Tozawa was there. I didn't watch it because I was busy writing. Do I cover this? So yeah. Anyway, let's do the Raw. Let's do the Women's Championships. Let's do that one. That was a really good match. So we got the Raw Women's Championship. So back up. In terms of reviewing this as an up and down rollercoaster show, I think it does just go, ooh. And then match I loved, match didn't gel with me, match I loved, match that didn't gel with me. Kind of like rinse and repeat. So, the Raw Women's Champion versus the SmackDown Women's Champion, Asuka versus Sasha Banks. Let me actually just change the image for this on the YouTube thing. It is, there we go, Asuka versus Sasha Banks. It is, if I can just bloody get the thing back up. Yeah, it's great to how Banks has lost none of her boss attitude since turning face, like making the match a trip back to the 2020 familiar, but at least a tad different than the past 10 or so from this year, especially with Sasha Banks in a babyface role. It was a different dynamic to the same match we've seen maybe double figures at this point. Like compared to Asuka, Asuka's literally been in limbo since the draft, whilst Sasha's been in a great swing of reinvention. So it's giving Asuka something to do of note, even though she's in limbo. And when I go watching Raw, I don't see a way to get her out of limbo because they're in the women's tag team world at the moment, and the biggest women's storyline is Nia Jax versus Lana. Who faces Asuka? They're all in the tag scene. The only one I can think of is Naomi, but she's not turned up on Raw yet. I don't know if she's like not available for whatever means. Again, we are in the middle of a pandemic. I don't know if that's responsible. If that's the thing that's responsible, sorry. But yeah. Anyway, the match itself, Yeah, it's Asuka versus Sasha Banks. I will be raving about this if I hadn't seen it like 9 times already over the course of the summer. Yet again, so damn smooth together. Like a really quick back and forth. Like very even as they both try to find a way into their own submissions. Asuka finally... Hello, Jerry in the chat. Asuka finally breaking through after a ringside brawl. Sasha jumping off the barricade, ending up caught into a code breaker. The transitions and counters between the two are so damn great. A real near fall after a devastating code breaker as Sasha was draped over the second rope. That looked awesome as hell. The ending was so incredibly quick. Counter after counter, reversal after reversal at an absolutely insane pace. The two attempting to catch the other in a pin and doing so fast and smooth as hell. After like bloody great transitions, one after the other, eventually Sasha rolled Asuka down and cradled both legs to definitely secure the pin. Yeah, yet another fantastic Asuka versus Sasha Banks match. Is it any better? I feel like the last match I watched between them was very similar and even had an ending sequence just as good as this, where it was just the back and forth, like what is it going to take, because they're doing absolutely amazing transitions into attempted pins and moves and stuff. But then the other person is then just doing the same thing back, and it just gets quicker and quicker until you end in that final sequence. And of course, they're so damn smooth together as well. That's part of the impressiveness. It's not just the speed; it's how I wouldn't say clean, because it's one of those where I wouldn't describe it as sloppiness either. There's just a little bit of there's enough, I'll say, maneuver fumble, which makes it feel a bit more realistic. Because if it's too clean, then it feels rehearsed. It didn't feel rehearsed. There was just enough wobble in there where it kept it in that realism bracket. But it was a really, really good match. And the issue is not really much more to say. It's like, yeah, this show overall to me felt pretty meaningless with the Undertaker retirement at the end, or the Undertaker farewell, I'll call it that. The Undertaker farewell and the Roman Reigns Drew McIntyre match. Like those two tacked on at the end, for me, yeah, they were like really good, but the rest of the show, the other 5, the main bulk of the show, for me, never justified its existence. I think it's the best way to put it. It never gave me a reason for why it exists. Therefore, I didn't really care about the stakes. Didn't really feel like there were any stakes. When Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns happened, kind of for me, like a case in point of the level of stakes, they didn't even mention what the SmackDown versus Raw scorelines were. I don't even think they were ever mentioned on the show. So it's a battle for brand supremacy where the team who gets the most wins earns that brand supremacy. Didn't even track it. So it's that little importance. Again, I was fine with the final note, but the bulk of the show, I just didn't care. I enjoyed matches. I just wasn't invested in anything, really. That's my. To be fair, that was my kind of recommendation for watching WWE. Of don't get invested, you just get screwed over. But this year they've done a lot better of a job of this consistency thing, or at least having a story which continues and characters don't suddenly shift things to fit the plot. They don't shift characteristics to fit the plot of that next storyline. No, they are the same characters and they work and they fit. And that was what made Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns really work as well. These two characters have been built really, really well and they're clashing. But yeah, Asuka, Sasha Banks, we've seen them wrestle a hell of a lot. This was a really good one and I thought the ending was bloody fantastic. So yes. Final 3 matches. I mean, I've got the pre-show kickoff thing on here as well. Don't know if that added anything. Don't even know if it counts. But before, we got the Intercontinental Champion versus the United States Champion. So for me, this is I've had the massive up of McIntyre versus Orton, then McIntyre versus Reigns, then the down of the Women's Survivor Series match, then the up of Asuka, Sasha Banks, and back down with Sami Zayn, Bobby Lashley with the Hurt Business. And like, I did like, visibly, just at the start, the difference of the two being so visible as Zayn's out on his lonesome, just yapping about, and then Lashley, silently, he is out with every one of his suit-clad friends. I just really like that visual. A smart move from the business, their presence all over ringside to completely cut out any chance of Zayn's known cheeky tactics, which did mean there wasn't that much of a match as that angle played out. This match was that angle playing out. Zayn still tried all the shenanigans to outsmart the opposition wrestler, but he overplayed his hand in the end, constantly trying one thing after the other. In the end, after failing to take off the turnbuckle pad, thanks to Cedric and Shelton, Zayn tried to trick the ref, falling over MVP's ankle and claiming like crazy for a DQ. I really enjoyed that spot. Thought it was great. It's like he's desperately trying smart tricks to outsmart the opposition, like one after the other. Doesn't care how he gets that win. If he gets that win, that's the important thing. But the ref bought none of it. But when he had to focus on Lashley's outburst to it all, the referee then missed MVP, throwing Sami back into the ring, who turns around in disgust and right into the Hurt Lock this time. No escape or trick for Sami Zayn, and he is gone. He is out. The Hurt Business successfully get their win. Bobby Lashley poses with his big muscles on the turnbuckle. Sami Zayn irate at Corey Graves. He's like, "Did you see the injustice? Did you see it?" Yeah. I like Sami Zayn's character is something different. You don't get to see how amazing a wrestler he is, but he's like a perfect TV character in a way. The way he wrestles is like perfect heat in a way, where he's going to be doing absolutely everything he can to cheat. He doesn't really, and his moves will be like punches and things rather than flashy kicks or fight backs, like he used to do. Yeah, I feel like he's really fit into this character, especially like since he's returned. I'm really enjoying him as Intercontinental Champion. I feel like his time's coming up soon, though. I doubt we'll go into WrestleMania as champion. I could doubt it. You've got TLC coming soon. That could work. They've just done a ladder match. It was received well. Does that mean you just do it again? Maybe not. But yeah, anyway. Now back to an up. Another positive. The Raw Tag Team Champions versus SmackDown Tag Team Champions. New Day versus the Street Profits. New Day, not only with Big E again for the night, but also in their custom Gears of War armour. Like, firstly, that is so great to see that. Street Profits with a lengthy promo of their own, so the three of them could realistically get it all off. A lot of armour probably took a while to take off. That said, Big E just disappeared. Maybe he took the armour with him. There, we came up with him and then off he pops. Not booked for Survivor Series when, assumably, there was, like, big stuff in the works for him. Not anymore. Like, honestly, I was so far more invested in this match than I was the men's 5-on-5 opener. Like, this was when I got into the show. Or at least, for the first time, I got into the show. A nice, gradual elevation too. Like, after the men's tag, like, rattled through the eliminations, the pace of this was great to see. Like, the perfect spot for it. Like, to genuinely get you invested in something after the opening turned into, like, it was just a big swerve and ended up finishing at a pelt's pace. If anything, the first half of this tag match, it gave everything it could to lift the Street Profits to New Day's level. A run of great spots in there too. Ford running up Dawkins with the sliced bread was nice. Great little story note afterwards too, with New Day hitting the midnight hour, but that was the tag move Big E normally hits with them. So without him, it wasn't as effective. I just like the meta story being told by them doing that move and commentary putting it over as, well, normally Big E does that move. And so without him, not as effective. It's like, yes, all the thumbs up for that. The match really picked up with a slew of close falls in the final kind of closing minutes. Ford's fantastic frog splash came oh so close. Kofi tried to swing back, but Ford was the one to hit the Trouble in Paradise. It's got a really itchy arm, Wilson. Xavier Woods with the Gutbuster, it was also really impressive, which followed onto... Who did he hit that on? I think that was just Ford. What an awesome run of final minutes this became. Elevated really, really well. Kofi back on top, and he was calling for the Trouble in Paradise of his own, doing the clap in the corner, but Dawkins grabbed his ankle from the outside, and the swing of momentum swung right back to the Street Profits with that. In the end, Kofi got caught, and in the end, Woods was trying to do some offense, and the tag team of Dawkins and Ford, the numbers game, caught Woods, and whilst he's on Brett's rope, he ended up getting lifted up high by Dawkins for Ford to fly over with an awesome elevated blockbuster for the win. Fantastic match. And I didn't want to give a beat by beat for that one, but it did, especially those final minutes when they started hitting those sequences. Like, really, really good. And I won't put it up there. Like New Day Shield was what I was thinking of, as like a Survivor Series tag team match where when you're watching it, it feels like there's something at stake. And because again, that was my main issue with Survivor Series overall, was like, but by the time I'd gotten to Roman versus Drew, I felt like this pay-per-view hadn't justified its existence, which was a bit of a shame. But that said, there were good matches in there, good competitive matches, and for me, this tag team match was maybe the one which got over the real competitive nature of the back and forth stuff. I mean, Drew versus Roman was a massive brawl, but this was great, really, really good. Yeah, another one where, again, if you're selectively listening to this for some reason to choose what matches to watch on the show, for some reason listen to this, not watch the show, yeah, watch the tag team match. Which doesn't limit it down with a show with quite a few tag team matches on it. Oh, yeah, the Raw versus SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Obviously, New Day vs Street Profits was good. One of the most foreseeable things on this show was this tag match being good. So, yeah. So, a quick drink of water before I do one more down. It's a boring version of the Miller Report, where it's 3 ups, 3 downs. Don't really know how to feel. Like overall didn't. So if I'm doing because normally when I do a review of a show, I don't give like a rating or a number, but it's more like a phrase or sentence for me that sums it up. And for me, it would be didn't just justify its existence, especially as a brand versus brand show. It didn't justify its existence. And as I started saying at the start of the show, for me, filler is the kind of worst thing in WWE. That's my number one pet peeve, is feeling like they're just wasting my time. And this pay-per-view didn't justify its existence. But it had matches that I genuinely enjoyed. The tag teams versus each other, women's champions versus each other, and the men's champions versus each other. Enjoyed all 3 of them. Didn't like the mid-card one, Sami Zayn, Bobby Lashley. Didn't like either Survivor Series match. Yeah. Or the Battle Royal. Battle Royal had a great final 2, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, that's why I feel like this pay-per-view just wasn't that great. I saw some people calling it the worst pay-per-view that WWE put on. Like, this is up there for worst pay-per-view they've done. I'm just like, it just didn't justify its existence. It wasn't a bad pay-per-view. It was just a bit... it's just a bit... but it had its moments. But again, when I really enjoyed half the card, I can't call it the worst thing ever. For worst show ever, it's got to like actively damage, and you don't like anything on it. So yeah, the opening match of the show, because I'll talk about the pre-show quickly afterwards. But the men's traditional Survivor Series elimination match opened the show. It's like, oh, we're going to open it with quite a pace. That's interesting. We'll see how that goes. That's not really what happened. We opened with a swerve angle. So if you're going to do a swerve angle, so this is my review of the traditional Survivor Series matches on this show. If you're going to do a Survivor Series match like this, and it's got a swerve angle, then your second Survivor Series match can't also have a swerve angle. Because, yeah, you feel like you've been cheated out of seeing the proper 5-on-5 kind of awesome clash. You feel like you're getting somewhat cheated out of it twice. If you do it one, for me it's like a limit of 1 per show. I'm not against totally doing it. But the reason I'm now... Because when I was watching it, I saw some people were really down on this men's match. I thought, you know what? It doesn't normally happen. I'm fine with it. At that time, was like, we've got another Survivor Series match going on to later in the show. I'm not going to throw my toys at the pram yet. We'll wait and see. But then after the women's one, which also had swerve angle, it's like, oh, okay. Right then. That's a shame. Because that then means they both had swerve angles, which then lowers my rating for the men's match quite a bit. Yeah. But yeah, so Team Raw was AJ Styles, Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, Braun Strowman and Sheamus. Notes for the men's, Big Baheen with his pay-per-view blazer, looking all swag and smart. AJ Styles still carries himself as if he's the captain, and I love that little dynamic. And Keith Lee with his new theme. Back to the world where he sings on his own entrance theme. Like, nice knowing you, generic rock theme. We've got our Keith Lee back. Finally, it's all together. He's still having to wear a onesie, or not a onesie, the wrestling onesie, whatever it's called, whatever that is. But yeah, he at least has got him singing on his track again. Yeah. Anyway, and Team SmackDown was Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Otis, King Corbin, and Seth Rollins, but only for a bit. So AJ Styles led by example for his team, and Jey Uso represented his. But it was Seth Rollins' decision that decided this match's fate right off the back. His decision to get Becky Lynch pregnant. Offering himself to be sacrificed to a bro kick of Sheamus. In kayfabe, no idea why this character did this. I mean, in reality, as I just inserted the little gag for when I could have just waited for this bit, like, we all know in reality why he's done this, like, why he's going. Like, because we know in real life, his wife Becky Lynch, the baby's going to be due soon. So he's going to go busy be a dad and help out with that. But in story, within the world, what we've seen on the telly box, there are no answers to this because it's kind of come out of nowhere. Also, when you're pushing as brand supremacy is really, really important, and this is the first elimination on the show, is somebody giving themselves up to be eliminated and screwing his team over. This is the point where you're meant to be painting it. That's important. As brand supremacy, this warfare really matters. Immediately off the bat, somebody just sacrifices themselves and screws over their team. That's the very first thing that happens on the show. which is why I felt like New Day Street Profits was the absolute perfect match to put on afterwards, because you saw a match where both teams really cared. And they gave it their all for the entire match. And it's like, oh, so that was the Raw versus SmackDown, the kind of proving yourselves against this other team. That's where that kind of... Yeah, it clicked a bit more, but this was like... They needed to rebuild that feeling because this match just destroyed it right off the bat. But it's one of the things which could be intriguing, but like again in reality, we know he's going to help look after a newborn soon, so it's just not going to be there for a while. So, but it's a really weird way to do it. Plus, somebody picked up, I think it was Alex McCarthy of BT Sport and other places. Wrestle Talk. There we go. I remember the names of other places. Yes, he pointed out on Twitter that Seth Rollins has said he will never wrestle Matt Riddle. He has absolutely no desire to do so. And he kept to his word, getting eliminated right off the bat by Sheamus. So yes, he still has 100% never wrestled Matt Riddle. This counts. But yeah, hopefully this is something that gets actually answered instead of ignored when he returns. We don't want some who took out Samoa Joe in the parking lot. No, I don't want that. No. I like some. Why did he turn himself to a martyr? Will we even get an answer on SmackDown beforehand, or is this kind of the killing of something, and he gets taken out anyway? Yeah, we got some nice face-ups in this match. We got Keith Lee versus Otis as we cry. Just imagine if that was Big E instead. Keith Lee and Big... I was excited for Keith Lee versus Big E, like doing the beef. Yes. The Big E's dream of meat slapping meat. But no. Yeah, we got Otis instead. And Lee's a mixture of, big boy and... This is weird. But the story really was that SmackDown were much more together as a team, but also at a massive disadvantage with the lost man. And that was on full display as they just tried to fight back. Unfortunately, very quickly, AJ Styles was there, cutting Kevin Owens' string of momentum down with a phenomenal forearm to capitalise off the chaos and eliminate Kevin Owens. As soon as that happened, that was it. 5 versus 3. Didn't stand a chance. And there it was just a sweep. Corbin tried and failed to capitalise on that, but Matt Riddle was indeed able to cut him down and instead eliminate the King with a floating bro. A quick fire of SmackDown eliminations. Nearly out himself after a brogue knee, Jey Uso found himself in the worst possible position after Otis's fire wasn't able to play the numbers game and Strowman power slammed him down. Otis with a genuine impressive run of momentum, launching big heavy lads overhead, just as a reminder of he can wrestle. He just does the things. he can actually I saw some people generally surprised on Twitter, and I was just thinking, in NXT, like he showed this in NXT, he generally can go like this. So, but of course, the difference is when you see him on the main roster, he's fighting the big lads, so it's even more impressive. Because of course, Otis's time in NXT was before the Keith Lees, the Dijaks, the Karrion Crosses, the big boys. But here we get to see him against real big boys. So yeah. So Jey Uso was all by himself, 4-on-1, super kicking his way in desperation, fighting his way against the odds and really standing his own. Tope over the top rope, what have you. But the numbers game, it was too much. It was the decider. The odds were just too great. Uso went to fly on AJ off of the top, but he was unaware Keith Lee had tagged in, who caught him onto his shoulders and from the carry into the glory bomb. That was an amazing transition. It was an awesome, great move having Keith Lee score the final four like that. Paired with the new theme, it was once again a memorable night for the big man. That's 2 Survivor Series in a row where he's made an impression. Or been the last man for not the last man for his team, but involved right at the end. I mean, the match wasn't much though. Like after Rollins, that was just a SmackDown slaughtering. So, which at the time when I watched it, if you watched it as a show in sequence, at the time I was like, but if we get a genuine proper Survivor Series match with all the building anticipation, everything throughout it, if we get that in the women's one, then I'm fine with this being Swerve Angle. But no, the women's one also ended in Swerve Angle. So, don't have both of them end up Swerve Angle. Oh well. Also, the final part, just to talk about, there was a dual brand battle royal for. When you know a match has got a lot of momentum behind, not momentum, but a lot of stakes behind it, where none of the competitors are announced until the day of, and it's not one of the things where it's a mystery. Wait till the day of. It was last minute on the week of the pay per view is going to be a battle royal. On the day of the pay per view, we learn any of the competitors. A ring full of people they had nothing for on the main show. It was a fast-paced battle royal with eliminations falling from the get-go. Like John Morrison, right out the gate. Johnny Matrix, just gone. He's out there. So fast, it absolutely matched the no investment level I had going in. The final four of Jeff Hardy, Chad Gable, The Miz, and Dominic Mysterio. All the others, one by one, get chucked out at a really quick pace. So you're just going hurtling towards those final four. The two veterans teamed up to Gable immediately catching and eliminating Hardy. The Miz kicked them both down before getting knocked out himself. And we had Gable and Mysterio in an amazing back and forth as if they were the final two. A damn great showing between the two of them. The echoes of Angle and Ray on full display. But after Mysterio knocked out Chad Gable and thought he won, The Miz was back in for the sneaky win. It's like, you silly babyface. You know Miz didn't go over the top rope because it was a bit of a weird, how's he ended up out there? And then, you forgot about him. It's your own fault. It's your own fault. You didn't remember. Yeah. But yeah, it was a kick-off battle royal. There's not really much more to talk about. So, yeah. But that was Survivor Series. Ending on a note which I felt I would say it was an emotional farewell, but my takeaway is like a happy, positive memory of it all, which is kind of how it's nice to have a farewell like that. You didn't often get those in wrestling, so that was nice. Then we got Mcmahon and McIntyre, which I loved, but then the main bulk of the show was up, down, up, down. And again, even if I enjoyed the matches, I didn't really feel like the show justified its own existence. And that literally goes right back to the stories that they have been telling. So, yeah. I don't really know how to rate. I don't know. In terms of, did I like this show? I liked bits of it. It was like an episode of Raw. I liked parts of the show. But I don't know if I'd say that I would recommend it. I don't know if I would definitely say I definitely enjoyed Survivor Series. Or if it's definitely worth checking out. I enjoyed parts of it. I enjoyed half of the matches. I just didn't enjoy the other half at all. The Undertaker's farewell was obviously, as a wrestling fan, I can't not recommend you watch that. Watch that. Obviously, The Undertaker with his grand farewell, big and emotional. I just realised I've not changed the image since Asuka There you go. There's Bobby Lashley, Sami Zayn, New Day, Street Profits. There's your and there's your dual branded Battle Royal, which we'll end on. But still, yeah. I'm ready to go to bed now. So yeah, it's 4:45 in the morning. I'm ready for bed. Anyway, thank you for watching, listening, subscribing, clicking the bell thing, whatever, what have you. 5-star reviewing if you're listening on the podcast version, whatever. You can also donate on RedCircle. If you go over to RedCircle, in the descriptions there's always a link to donate to Investing Headlines Radio. It's still called Laws of Pain Radio over there. So don't be confused when you see Laws of Pain. Anyway. What did you make of Survivor Series? And did you think it was a fitting farewell for The Undertaker? Yeah, did you? Yeah, but the con itself as well. Were you like me, where you were up and down, up and down? Were you like some of the comments I've seen where they thought this was an awful pay-per-view, one of the worst that they've ever done? Or more like me, where it's like, but I did enjoy parts of it. So it can't be the worst show I've ever seen. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed. And in a very unwise move, I will be live on Twitch, I say tomorrow, it's like in 12 hours. I'll be live on Twitch Monday in GMT time. So it's like the wrong audience. I'll be live on Twitch at like 6 PM that time. And playing Shadow of War, PlayStation Plus, been banging through it. And also, plug the Wrestling Shorts latest cartoon, because I've been doing Twitch stuff with him. A site cancel from the Twitch coming over to this as I'm signing off. Site cancel, one of the viewers. Awesome to see you come over here. Yes, I'm literally just signing off. I'm going to bed. Wind back on the stream. It's YouTube. You can click on the button. Anyway, with that, I say thank you for... I've already done all the thank yous. I'm signing off that much. You can follow me on Twitter at the Damn Implicat. That's damn as in damn. You can read my columns on WrestlingHeadlines.net whenever I post them. You can... subscribe to the channel as well. I'll be back with you for the Monday Night Raw review. Do that. You were 4 for 2 on your predictions, Site Council. I didn't make any predictions because I didn't care. Yeah, and again, the pay-per-view for me never justified its existence. So, yeah. Anyway, we could talk about it on the Twitch stream tomorrow when I'm streaming Shadow of War. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed for it's about 5 o'clock AM. So with that, I say bid you adieu. Adios. I've not even clicked on the thing. I've just done an arm movement. Adios, everybody. Adios.